Today is October 6th, and it's the feast of St. Bruno of Cologne. Not a really well-known saint. He lived in the 11th century, became a priest in France, taught at the University of Paris. He was the chancellor for the Diocese of Rheims in France, but really felt a deep call to solitude. And so he found this beautiful valley in southeast France in the Alps near Grenoble. And it's there that he founded the Carthusians. Carthusians are probably the most radical, austere, male contemplative order in the church. They each live in their own little cell. They cut their own firewood. They grow a lot of their own food. They only gather in community for Mass and prayer. Other than that, it's a life of complete solitude. Bruno reminds us that in our life, we often feel alone, and that loneliness is a heavy cross for many people. But he also shows us that if we can embrace loneliness, if we can face it, if we can somehow carry it, it has the potential to become solitude. So loneliness embraced becomes solitude, and Bruno would say that it's precisely in solitude that we find God. In our culture today, we may feel very alone because of the COVID shutdown, because of all the restrictions, in ways that we never felt lonely before. St. Bruno's prayers and St. Bruno's example teaches us that that fallow time in our life, those times of seeming emptiness or even lovelessness, if we go to God in that, if we sit with it, if we embrace it, if we fill it with prayer, that it can become solitude. It can become this holy place. In Matthew's gospel, Jesus says, go to your inner room when you pray. And I think he meant not only a physical inner room, but the room of our heart, the chamber of our heart. So this feast of St. Bruno, I think we're challenged and indeed invited to look at those solitary, lonely places in our hearts, in our lives, and to see them not as places of darkness, but places that are filled with God, God's presence, that he awaits us in those lonely spots to fill us with his life and his goodness, to remind us that only his love for us can satisfy our longing for communion, for life, to love and be loved. And St. Bruno teaches us that if we dare to go there, God is there waiting. St. Bruno, pray for us.